Hey guys, Phobia again. So we got some more priest changes and some big shadow priest changes that might give a little bit more hope into this next season. Gonna help with damage, and they're changing some nodes around and getting rid of things and putting baseline. Hopefully we can keep this. Maybe they'll put Void Origins baseline. No, we didn't get that. Spoiler alert. Shadow Priest, but I'm hoping that becomes a thing. But let's go ahead and get into the changes and our tier set and my thoughts on that. Okay, so first thing we're going to be noticed here is that Shadow or Death is now a 10-second cooldown instead of 20, which is good. This really benefits builds for people who are going to be running Mindbender and Inescapable Torment, because you'll have it up more. That'll be a big benefit into getting more of the teleport cleave. Discipline here, so they're getting a pretty big change. The big one that I was seeing here is this Powered Radiance has its own school of magic now, called Radiant. So they're gonna have 3 schools of magic. So that's pretty cool. At the same time, that could be really frustrating because then they have Shadow, Holy, and Radiant schools of magic. Essentially, like, who else has that? Evokers have multiple schools of magic, so you get locked on one, you cast the other, so on and so forth. It also looks like Radiance is getting a lower cast time by 30%. So just increased healers, I wonder what that means for just casting Radiance, but we'll have to see. I'm assuming the instant cast, like how you get your big burst heal, so I'm assuming it's probably still going to be the pick, but 3 schools of magic. Holy, Holy's getting some kind of bounce radius of prayer mending. I think this has to do with their tier set. I was reading earlier. We'll have to look into that here. But obviously, we are Shadow Priest tier for the most part, but I want to go over priest changes in general. So Shadow Priest, things that are new. Let's go ahead and scroll down here that we haven't already gone over. We've gone over most of this. I gotta look for the new. So for instance, it's not showing here just yet, but Shadow Crash got a 75% damage nerf in the patch changes. I had the new page up. Oh, it's down here. Here we go. Down here. Boom, boom. So down here, we're starting with the updates down here, right? So Shadow Crash does 70% reduced damage. So it's no longer going to do an extra good amount of hit. Like if you stun a target, you throw it, do like 30k. It does like 8k now, which is really, it's sad because it was a great way to, if it crit, you can do some good damage. But essentially, what did we really use it for? We used it to spread dots around. Bonus to that is now Shadow Crash is only 20-second cooldown. So we lost Damnation, but we kept the Shadow Crash ability when we talent into it to spread Vampiric Touch, which with Misery gives Shadow of Pain. So the benefit of losing that damage is now it's only a 20-second cooldown, so the rotation of keeping dots up is going to keep going, which is great for PvP. Again, that's a big quality of life change for us without having Damnation. Death and Madness Insanity Generation is down to 8. That's when you Death and Madness is when you use it on somebody, doesn't kill them. You have to use it again. Then down here, Death and Madness generates Insanity immediately instead of over 3 seconds, so you're going to get the initial burst of Insanity. Good. Shadow Word Death now generates 4 Insanity on its own. What it looks like here. Good, because what does that mean now? Death Speaker. Okay, so we all used to love Death Speaker the beginning of the season before it got nerfed. It now has a 50% increased proc rate. So we might have lost procs through the Mind Spike build and having Mind Spike. So we lost that in place of a lot more Shadow Word Deaths, which gives Insanity. I'm not running the Mind Spike build. But another thing that's going to be cool, which we go down here in a couple things you'll see here, and I'll explain why this is a good thing for us as well. Death Speaker also does 25% more damage while active. So you get the 25% more damage, then the guaranteed 150% more damage because it's the proc. So it's a lot more damage on Shadow or Death. Still not too strong, but it's a great proc to have, and it gives Insanity. Want that for our Devouring Plagues. Okay, Death Speaker now temporarily increases the maximum charge of Shadow or Death by 1. Keep getting Death Speakers and keep having more Shadow or Deaths. Death Speaker no longer triggers Death Madness. If you guys remember, if you would get a Death Speaker proc and somebody was below Death Threshold, it would trigger your Death and Madness, so you wouldn't get another Shadow Word Death. But this one, you can get 3, 4, 5 Shadow Word Deaths. If you get a Death Speaker proc into another Death Speaker proc when somebody's under Death Threshold, and then you get a Shadow Word Death, you get another Shadow Word Death still. So you can essentially do 4, 5 Shadow Word Deaths in a row if you have Death Speaker procs procking. So it's a really good thing for us to keep our dots up so we get these procs. And I believe Death Speaker only procs off of Shadow Word Pain, so it should be really easy to get these procs for Insanity. Alright. This is my new favorite talent by the looks of it when I'm looking at it. Increases the damage of Devouring Plague by 20%. 20%. But Devouring Plague deals damage over 12 seconds. So it's like that talent we had in Shadowlands Season 1, where it increased our Devouring Plague duration, but now it does 20% more damage and it lasts longer. Now the reason this is good, it also it costs 25 more Insanity. I should point that out. It does cost more Insanity to use. But that being said, we have 150 Insanity now. We keep generating Insanity, we'll have a lot of Devouring Plagues. Why is this good? Our Mastery lasts longer. When you put up Devouring Plague on a target, right? So it's going to last longer. We also have the build with the Shadowy Apparitions, which I will have to go over. I've been messing around with the build, but it's actually up here. Whoops. Right here. It's called Phantasmal Pathogen. Shadowy Apparitions deal 150% increased damage to targets affected by Devouring Plague. Well, before this change, before we got this distorted reality here, we couldn't spread Devouring Plague even if we wanted to. And generally, with the 6-second Devouring Plague, what we would do is stack Devouring Plagues up on a target for the on-hit effect, but also to stack the dot and to do more single-target burst. But with this build and what they're making us become is a spread pressure build. So with the 12 seconds, we can put Devouring Plague on this target, Devouring Plague on like the healer, for instance, and then Void Form, Void Bolt cleaves, the Apparitions cleave, Devouring Plague when you put it on if you're running what's it hold on, what's it called? Screams of the Void. So you put Devouring Plague, they're taking all this dot damage. Then you put Devouring Plague on another person, they're taking a lot of instant dot damage. Sorry, my eye itches, guys. And then every Devouring Plague will also throw out the apparition for the Phantasm Pathogen. So I've hit, no lie, I've been doing it on stream. I've hit 40 to 60k Shadowy Apparitions when they crit with this ability. I'm in Void Form, put all my dots up, and they'll crit 40, 60k. That's insane amount of cleave damage. And the longer you have Devouring Plague on a target, the more they're going to take that damage because they need to be affected by Devouring Plague with this build. So with this change, we can now spread Devouring Plague, keep up our Mastery, keep up the dots ticking, and be able to spread out these apparitions. So I love this. I also love not having to refresh so often, being able to have options, and it gives a flatline 20% more damage. Can't go wrong with that. Which also increases the on hit of Devouring Plague. So want that. Encroaching Shadows has been removed. What is Encroaching Shadows? Gave 75% more damage on Devouring Plague. Well, guess what they did here? Baseline now. So that choice, that node we could have chosen is now free for another spell to use. And we get a baseline, which is good. We wanted a little bit more spell or more choices because the spells we needed we couldn't get because we didn't really have enough choices to choose from because of all these things that should be baseline, right? For instance, for me, Shadow Crash, the Vampiric Touch, it shouldn't be changed. Like, keep it the way it is. Why give us a choice to click into it to make it spread dots? It should stay exactly how it is instead of splitting it apart and to give us another talent. It's okay. They're going a step in the right direction. Surge of Insanity has been moved to Encroaching Shadows. That is really cool for one reason, because now we get Death Speaker for free, and we get the Surge of Insanity, which I will be using Mind Flay Insanity if they don't give Mind Spike instant proc on it. Not an instant. I am not. There's too much to cast. We have way too much to cast now. I'm not trying to get kicked on Shadow Frost School and be able to do nothing at all. So this is This is the main reason why I want to run this. Now, again, you could get kicked and spam like mind spikes and stuff like that, but why would you? It doesn't do much damage. So unless they make it instant, I am not going. I am going with Mind Flame Sanity, which does a crap ton of damage on the PTR right now. I've been showing it on stream. So come to the stream. I'll show you my builds. I have a whole build I've been working on, which I will post in a guide here soon. Just waiting to see if there's any more tweaks before I put that out. But yeah, with this, with my current build, having Death Speaker procs on top of that just makes it feel a lot more fluid, a lot more smooth. It feels like we have options. One thing I do want here is Mental Decay. Now updates the maximum duration of Shadow Word Pain, Vampiric Touch. So the remainder durations are easily understood. I really want Mental Decay to be option to use. Keep dots rolling. Obviously, people are just gonna dispel our dots, but I really want this to be an option for certain builds. I guess it really isn't the biggest thing in the world when I think of it now, considering that if I come up to Screams of the Void here, it only lasts 3 seconds, right? So the longer one wouldn't really matter too much, but the more time you have on a dot, the more technical dot damage it does. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just I'm thinking too much, and I want more dot duration. Don't need it. It's going to be dispelled. Never mind. But this is really cool. These changes are going to be very helpful, especially the 20-second Shadow Crash right here is going to be very nice to have. Hopefully, like I said, they bring Void Origins baseline to making Void Eruption and Dark Ascension instant cast. But as of right now, we don't have that. Unfortunate, but we can work around it. So that and be having Death Speaker baseline, Approaching Shadows baseline makes a big difference. Now, one thing I want to talk about now is the set bonuses. So going to disc, casting penance on an enemy causes 20% effectiveness healing, and casting penance on an ally does AoE damage. So this could be bad for like RMP. Let's say casting penance, you're healing a target and it breaks a poly. That could be bad. But most people use penance to hit targets for their atonement, so it won't be that big of an issue for skilled disc priest, but it could theoretically break or even break roots, like if a nova or something. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Every 3 penance grants you Shadow Covenant for 5 seconds and converts that penance to a shadow spell. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to really work for them, if that's good or not. I think Markers runs Shadow Covenant, or did for some reason. I'm not a disc priest. I don't know, but I'll try to talk to him and see why this might be good. I'm sure he already has a guide out. Oh, here we go. That prayer mending thing I was talking about. So it is a set bonus. Prayer mending has a 20% chance to duplicate to another nearby target when it jumps. So it can jump to a target, make another one, and jump to another target. So you can have 2. That could be insane versus dot cleaves. Holy might be like the way to go in this meta, considering everyone's getting increased dots and getting like I know Evoker's getting a dot now, so that could be good. When prayer mending jumps, it increases the damage and healing of your next holy word by 4%, stacking 15 times. That's actually insane, right? So they can get a bunch of jumps, and then their next holy word, which is like they have their burst, can do big healing. That's pretty good if this bounces a lot, especially against dot cleaves where every tick bounces. So that could be really cool, and it also will save them mana because if it duplicates, they don't have to put it up again. So that could be really cool. All right, so Shadow, kind of cool for the 2 set, not that cool for the 4 set, in my opinion. When consuming Shadowy Insight, Mind Blast does 60% increased damage and generates 4 additional insanity. That's cool because it's just the proc and boom, 60%. But that can double dip into Insidious Ire, right? And if you guys have been watching my stream, when I've been doing the PTR builds, I've been running that again like I used to, because it directly affects Void, Torrent, and Void Torrent hits like a truck with no burst needed. Once you have all 3 dots on a target, Void Torrent every 45 seconds or 30 seconds if you're spec'd into times 2. I've done like 60% of someone's HP, just rotationally. So having big Mind Blast up to 40% more damage, then 60% more damage, so over 100% more damage right there with just Mind Blast procs would be insane. So we like that. The 4-set, every 400 insanity spent summons a Shadow Fiend / Mindbender for 5 seconds. That could be cool if you get a double Mindbender. Like you get a Mindbender into a Mindbender if you're tracking the insanity spent. And then if you're running Inescapable Torment, it should theoretically have both Mindbenders hit at the same time. That could be really cool, especially with the low Shadow or Death and Death Speaker procs. You can get, let's say you summon a Mindbender, you get a proc Mindbender, you Death, Shadowy, then you get a Death Speaker, Death, Double Death, Mind Blast, Instant Mind Blast, and have all these Inescapable Torment cleave. That's obviously if you can cast, but in the long run, Shadow Fiend and Mindbender aren't really impactful. Just to have them going out. Like generally, you pair it with your 1-minute go, so you get the insanity rolling, and so they just do that good damage. Again, with having the Mindbender, at least you'll get a lot of insanity back from it in 5 seconds. So every hit will give you more, but I don't think that's a very good 4-set. Kind of seems like 5 seconds is very minuscule when you see some other tier sets out there are kind of insane. So we'll have to see about that. Now there is PvP talent that we got. Gotta scroll down here. Scroll down. So here we go. So new talent, Phase Shift. Step into the shadows when you cast Fade, avoiding all attacks and spells for 0.5 seconds. Interrupts effects are not affected by Phase Shift. So essentially, it's a greater fade for half a second. I can tell you personally, I won't be running this. Greater fade was really good. Then it got nerfed and it was still pretty good. But a half of a second, you essentially press greater fade. If you think a kidney's coming, if you use it, if you think a big chaos bolt's coming or something of that nature is coming. But outside of like saving it for a glacial spike or whatever, it's kind of a useless. Half of a second, that's so minuscule. It actually makes me want to cry that's the talent they gave us. Half of a second, especially when fade is tied into our freedom. So there are times we have to just freedom away to be able to kite or catch up or whatever, because fade now gives us freedom. So this makes me pretty sad because it's only half a second. Now if it was 1 second, I'd probably run it. But why would I run that when I can run something way cooler? Ready for this, guys? Leap of Faith also pulls the spirit of 3 furthest allies within 40 yards and distributes health between you and affected allies. We got our own freaking Spirit Link, guys, and it's a PvP talent, so that means all priests can use it. Unfortunately, that scares me for Holy Priests. Holy Priests, if they're really good in this like cleavy meta, and then they have their own Spirit Link, and then they have Angel form, and then they have Guardian and Ray of Hope. They have all these ways to get out. I'm kind of scared. This also makes RMP a lot stronger because you train the mage, rip the mage is healed. You also have life swap, so you have Leap of Faith and life swap. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get nerfed, but it's pretty cool as of right now to run it. So essentially, if let's say you can't run Psyfiend in games versus like melee cleave, you can run Leap of Faith, and you can run Driven to Madness, so you get faster resets on your either Void Form or Dark Ascension, and you can get a Spirit Link. Or if, for instance, you then pair it between if you want to use Psyfiend and you want to use Catharsis, you then pair it with, do I need heals or do I need sustain? If you need heals, you run Absolute Faith. If you need sustain, you go into Driven to Madness. It gives us a good option. I do think it's busted. It's pretty broken PvP talent. So like my thing is, why would I take phase shift ever when I can just take absolute? So the way this would be really bad is versus Doc Cleaves, where everyone's dying, just like Spirit Link is. But still, it's cool to have. Does kind of take away from the class fantasy of Resto Shaman, but hey, I'm not going to complain. But that's about it, guys. I have a mini guide coming out soon about all the testing I've been doing on the PTR, what I feel is good, what I feel is bad. The build that I run seems to be the most efficient based on testing with multiple other Shadow Priests and my own team fighting against them. So we'll have to see how it goes, but keep into the next time. Follow me at twitch.tv/Aphobia Gaming.